See, journalists are not there to inform the public. They're there to direct opinion in the desired direction. They are manipulated to manipulate everyone else. Very few are real journalists. They are little more than copy typists for the manipulators, turning round news of engineered events to push the public on. And most of them don't know they're doing it. Some of the more intelligent ones know they're doing it, but can't see a way out of the structure they're stuck with. There's a guy called John Swainton, a long-time editor of the New York Times, who worked in this situation for a long, long time. And then when it came to his retirement dinner, he spoke to his staff in terms that spoke the truth that he'd been holding within himself to preserve his job up to that point. What he said to his staff was this: there is no such thing as a free press. You know it and I know it. There's not one of you who would dare to write his honest opinions. The business of a journalist is to destroy truth, to lie outright, to pervert, to vilify, to fawn at the feet of mammon, and to sell himself, his country and his race for his daily bread. This is the important bit. We are tools, vassals of rich men behind the scenes. We are jumping jacks. They pull the strings, we dance. Our talents, our possibilities, and our lives are the property of these men. We are intellectual prostitutes. So we have a structure of manipulation which is string-pulling the politicians of all political colours, the media, the intelligence agencies, the big companies, and the global banking system. And the plan now is to create so much conflict around the world, so much chaos, including a massive global collapse which they'll engineer someone else to be blamed for, that we'll have a situation where we'll have a massive problem which has to find a solution. And the solution will be centralized government, centralized bank, centralized currency, which won't be physical money, but which will be credit, and centralized army. One group of people which this conspiracy must suppress if it's to succeed in the next generation is the young. And there is today a war on the young and anyone remotely different from the programmed, off-the-peg norm. The Illuminati agents, bizarre as it may seem, and I can understand that it does at first sight, the Illuminati agents within British intelligence and the CIA and other major global security services control the world market in illegal drugs through other aspects of the brotherhood network like the mafia. They do this for three main reasons. First of all, to make enormous amounts of money which they can then channel into their own secret projects without having to divert it from government channels which could be traced, not least because a lot of the covert operations that secret society, security services are involved with are against their own government. It's interesting that I've read a lot of evidence and a lot of suggestions from various researchers that the BCCI bank, the Bank of Credit and Commerce International, which crashed, of course, amid a quote, scandal, was actually being used as a front by intelligence agencies to launder drug money and to also launder illegal arms sales money. And it's interesting also how you can be duped if you don't know the background to what's going on, because when the scandal of the BCCI broke, the American government appointed a guy called Senator John Kerry of Massachusetts to head the investigation into this scandal. And he made all the right noises. He stood up and said, you know, this is a scandal and we must get to the bottom of this and I'll do everything I can, no stone unturned, you know the stuff. Well, he never got to the bottom of it. His investigation came up with basically nothing. Now, you may think on the face of it, well, he just wasn't very successful. And then you realize that he's also a member of the Skull and Bones secret society that other members of the government are also involved with. Maybe he shared a coffin with George Bush, you never know. The second reason for expanding the use of drugs is that in the name of a war on drugs, you can persuade the public to hand over powers of arrest and search and raids on homes that they'd never accept unless there was a problem that had to find a solution. Create problems, then offer solutions. For instance, if you want to have a more authoritarian police force or an armed police force that hasn't been armed before, and you want to do it not only without the public challenging you, but with the public demanding that you do it, what do you need? You need more high-profile, very public, violent crime. Something must be done. Armed police force, more authoritarian laws, thank you very much, duped again. The third reason for the CIA's involved and others' involvement in drugs is that they know that a drugged up, screwed up young generation is so much easier to manipulate than one which is aware of its infinite potential for love, creativity and contribution to a positive change in the world. The ease with which young people can have access to drugs today is absolutely ludicrous, and it's ludicrous because it's meant to be ludicrously easy. It's been shown that British intelligence and the CIA were experimenting with LSD long before it was unleashed on the young in the 60s. And if people think it's far-fetched, then you just got to look at what the British did through the East India Company to the Chinese. When they wanted to exploit and control the Chinese, what did they do? They tried to get them hooked on opium. Same principle. They want to break the spirit of the young in every way they can to stop them thinking, expressing their individuality, and realizing their true and infinite potential. Mentioned earlier that one other aspect of this New World Order conspiracy is the desire for a microchipped population. A population that would be effectively linked to a computer. Now this takes two forms. First of all, there is the money side. You know, we're talking now about having credit cards and identity cards and everything like that. And the push is all to getting rid of physical money and having credit cards and credit alone as the form of currency. Now that's great, you would think, some would think. And what the next stage after the credit card is the barcode on the person. The guy at IBM, I understand, that invented the barcoding for tins of beans in the supermarket, has also invented one that goes just under the skin. So instead of going in the garage or the shop and using a credit card across the thing like that, you would be linked to a computer via this barcoding. The problem is, if the computer says, no siree, you don't have an alternative of saying, oh okay, then I'll pay with cash, because that's not going to exist in the longer term, which is very much part of this plan. So suddenly we're under the control at that point of a computer deciding whether we are going to have the things that we need or not. And there's another aspect of this microchipped ambition that the Illuminati have, and that is the microchip that can tell them exactly where we are at whatever time we are.